We naturally experience time as a steady, forward-flowing river. It has a definite origin in the Big Bang, and our intuition tells us that eventually this river will reach an end. To understand how the universe concludes, we track dark energy using its equation of state, W. If W drops below -1, the repulsive force grows exponentially. This creates the Big Rip, accelerating so violently it tears apart entire galaxies, planets, and eventually shreds atoms. As catastrophic as the Big Rip sounds, it offers a strange kind of comfort. It provides a definitive conclusion. In this scenario, the timeline simply runs out, giving the story of the cosmos a clear, merciful ending. Recent astronomical data paints a picture. Measurements suggest the value of W is hovering remarkably close to exactly -1. This means we are likely avoiding the violent rupture of the Big Rip, and instead drifting towards what physicists call heat death. Heat death is not a sudden, fiery conclusion. It is a slow, agonizingly cold unwinding of all cosmic structure. Over trillions of years, galaxies drift impossibly far apart. Star formation ceases, and eventually the last remnants of stars, black dwarfs and slowly evaporating black holes, flicker out, leaving an absolute, featureless void. The true terror of heat death lies in its mathematics. Unlike the Big Rip, time does not stop. The cosmic stopwatch keeps ticking indefinitely into the dark. When you pair an infinite amount of time with a finite amount of matter and energy, the physical landscape of the universe is replaced by a vast, merciless statistical engine. Without an ending, the cosmos becomes a breeding ground for mathematical nightmares. Given infinite time, even the most improbable events become guaranteed, and the normal rules of cause and effect simply dissolve. To understand why infinite time breaks reality, we have to look at entropy, the measure of how disordered a system is. If you drop a pristine, numerically ordered deck of playing cards onto the floor, the cards scatter into chaos. But the mathematics of eternity force a strange reversal. As this animated diagram shows, a principle called Poincaré recurrence states that if you shuffle a finite, enclosed system for an infinite amount of time, the system will eventually return exactly to its original configuration. Our universe contains a finite number of atoms. If the cosmic clock ticks forever, those atoms will eventually explore every possible arrangement, and then they will be forced to repeat. They will reassemble into the exact configuration of our current galaxies, our planet, and your physical body. This concept of eternal repetition haunted the 19th century French revolutionary Louis-Auguste Blanqui. While locked in solitary confinement in the island prison of Fort du Taureau, watching waves batter the walls day after day, Blanqui theorized the entire cosmos was locked in an inescapable loop. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche explored the immense psychological weight of this idea. He asked how it would feel if a demon told you that every pain, joy, and single thought of your life was doomed to replay in the exact same sequence for eternity. In a universe of infinite repetition, uniqueness dies. Every triumph and every agony loses its meaning because it has already happened countless times before and is fated to replay endlessly without variation. The dread of infinity goes beyond mere repetition. Even in the absolute zero of heat death, the void is never perfectly empty. It is filled with an ocean of fluctuating quantum waves that occasionally burp tiny temporary particles into existence. Given enough time, these random quantum fluctuations will accidentally assemble something much more complex. Physics allows for the spontaneous creation of a Boltzmann brain, a fully functioning, conscious mind, complete with false memories of a life it never lived, assembled purely by chance. This tipping scale diagram demonstrates the statistical problem. Creating a biological brain requires billions of years of stellar evolution, heavy element fusion, and planetary biology. Over infinite time, the probability of a mind randomly assembling from quantum noise vastly outweighs one evolving naturally. Logically, this leads to a deeply unsettling conclusion. The consciousness you are experiencing right now, reading these words, holding your memories, is overwhelmingly likely to be a fleeting quantum hallucination, floating alone in a dead void. If infinite time makes fake realities mathematically more probable than real ones, then human history, your personal memories, and the concept of objective truth become completely untrustworthy. The paradoxes of infinity reach their peak when we introduce the concept of quantum measurement. Imagine a scenario where a person's life or death hinges on a single 50-50 quantum coin toss, like measuring the spin of an electron. One branch of quantum physics, known as the many worlds interpretation, argues that every time a quantum choice is made, the universe physically splits into two distinct parallel realities to accommodate both outcomes. This branching timeline visualizes a concept known as quantum immortality. Because your consciousness logically continues only in the branch where you survive, from your perspective, there will always be an unbroken path where you never die, no matter how often the universe splits. Immortality without choice is the ultimate existential trap. If there is always a branch where you survive, death is removed from the equation entirely, taking with it all morality, risk, and consequence. All of these statistical horrors, the repeating lives, the fake brains, the inescapable immortality, rely on a single assumption. They assume time is a river that constantly flows forward into new, uncharted futures. Albert Einstein's foundational theory of general relativity challenges that very assumption. It offers a framework where time does not flow at all. This 3D grid visualizes the block universe. Reality is a rigid, four-dimensional block where the past, present, and future exist simultaneously. The sensation of time passing is an illusion created by observers tracing specific paths, or world lines, through this static block. Under the block universe theory, there is no approaching infinite dread. The future is not a terrifying destination we are falling towards. It is simply a place on a cosmic map that is already completed. When we drop down to the deepest mathematical level of reality, the concept of flowing time disappears entirely. In 1965, physicists wrote the Wheeler-DeWitt equation to describe the entire quantum state of the cosmos. Its most shocking feature is that it completely omits any variable for time. Theoretical physicist Julian Barber suggests that reality is simply a vast collection of static, disconnected, and timeless configurations. He calls these individual frozen snapshots nows. From these timeless snapshots, physicists propose the idea of emergent time. Think of it like temperature. A single isolated molecule of oxygen cannot have a temperature. Similarly, a single isolated quantum event does not possess time. Time is merely a statistical summary. It is a biological story our brains tell to make sense of complex quantum interactions on a massive scale. The fear of infinite time is ultimately a fear of an illusion. The future is not a threat, because it either already exists in full, or it does not exist at all. The only true reality we inhabit, and our only escape from the paradox of eternity, is exactly right now.